gotta backtrack. And you should've kept my name out your mouth. Ask me though how it all turned out. When you try to use my name for clout, keep on going, give you something you can talk about. Hello everybody, how are you doing this fine? What is it? Monday, June 23rd. We are just back from the lunch break on what I think could be the last witness called in the Diddy trial, although I'm not exactly sure. Like, we've gotten some, listen, we've gotten some competing, some alternative versions of the story from Diddy's team. And also, even though they can predict things, sometimes things take longer, sometimes things come up, jurors pass out, they get vertigo and things. So everything's kind of, still a little bit up in the air. However, it seems like it's being reported that Mark Agnifilo, Diddy's lawyer, said that he was not calling any witnesses at all. But does that mean, he's not going to call like a summary witness like the prosecution has done? I don't know. They're saying he's not going to take the stand. Y'all know what I said. I wouldn't be surprised if he does, but I acknowledge, everyone is saying that he's not. So he likely is not. But I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't be surprised. I'll tell you that. Okay. Okay, we're on Inner City Press. Let's see if I can get to like the more recent one. I don't know how he does it, y'all. He is in his court. Look, he's making in the hot sun. I think it's 90 degrees in Manhattan right now. My God. Okay. The most recent tweet here on his Twitter is this break. Now he did do a little, what's it called? Vlog. But I still haven't figured out my speaker situation. And I do have speakers. I just need to set it up and all that, which after this trial, I should be able to catch up on a few things I've been putting off. Okay, we have 3 new updates from Washington Post. I think this whole trial, if it had a caption, it would be this. I need more baby oil. I mean, what in the hell is going on with all that? Combs to staffer. I need more baby oil. Hey, KK. I need more baby oil. Look at his face looking at the monitor. Oh my God, to be a fly on the wall, to be a person in the room, with the Diddy looking at the KK, I need more baby oil. Oh my God. During the testimony of the special agent, Joseph Curciello, do not know how to say his name, prosecutors have continued to try to establish that Diddy orchestrated the S parties known as freak-offs by directing his staff to pull them together and work out the details, from hotel and flight bookings for women and for male escorts to the amount of baby oil and substances and supply for any given occasion. One text message that the jury saw Monday from Diddy to his chief of staff at the time, Christina Karam, said, "Hey, KK, I need more baby oil." More oil. The alleged victims who participated in freak-offs were coerced, the government argues. And the jury saw several messages today from an accuser being referred to as Jane, who told Diddy that she felt used and taken advantage of. "I'm not a corn star. I'm not an animal. I need a break," Jane said in one message. "I don't want to." She accused Diddy of using her to fulfill his sexual fantasies while treating other women like legitimate girlfriends. The accuser, that's Jane, wrote that she wanted to revert back to the way their relationship was in the beginning, when it was not focused on her having to F strangers during freak-off episodes. Quote, "I need a break. I cannot be in another hotel room doing substances and performing, exhausted for days." Okay. Then we have the Tanea. They always got to put her in there. Okay. And then the defense cross-examination of special agent has begun. Okay. So they have Begun the cross examination. It has happened. Who is questioning? I don't know why I've been thinking it's Teeny, but I think it could be Brian Steele. Oh, it is Teeny. Okay. Federal agent returns to the witness stand. I just assumed it was her, but maybe they like said that she was going to be doing it. He spent most of the morning as a conduit for prosecutors to show text messages sent by and to Diddy, filling in details of Diddy's work and love life. Okay, so let's go back to during the break, CNN.com did an update about a bunch of the text messages that were shown in court today. So it says Jane texted Diddy that she felt violated and manipulated, records show. The jury saw records from the days around October 18th, 2023. This is like a month before the Cassie lawsuit gets filed. This is Jane. Previously, she testified that she and Diddy had a sobriety party that weekend. The special agent for Homeland Security Investigations confirmed that this is the summary chart's last entry. Hold on. Confirm this is actually. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. The special agent confirmed that this is the summary chart's last entry before Cassie's lawsuit. So all the evidence presented in the chart, all of it, predates Cassie's lawsuit. And I think that the government did that to take away Diddy's ability to say that these were motivated by the lawsuit. They were motivated by Cassie. The judge was also very careful to leave stuff out that was post Cassie. Remember, there was like voice notes that Jane had left to herself, and the judge was like, you can't put that in because it's after the Cassie lawsuit was made public, which means she could have been, tainted by, whatever. Hold on, girl. So this chart they're going over, the last entry, the last entry is this right here, the sobriety party situation with Jane, October 2023, and then there's Cassie's lawsuit. I don't know, maybe there's evidence after it. We'll have to see. No, there is evidence after it because then they're going to go get beat up. Okay, so then that's just the delineation point. So they don't not use it, but they're showing like these major events, and then they're showing all the evidence around it. So it's like this particular freak off at this particular hotel at this particular time, right? They were showing like December 17th through 21st, 2021. This person's texting that person. KK's picking up the more oil. He's fighting with Jane, but he's making up to her. He's telling her she don't have to do any more freak offs. Then he is telling Paul the other thing. There's money flying to and fro, right? This has all been being read into the charts, but they're all around these little, like, not little, but like events of things. So the last one before Cassie's lawsuit was the sobriety party. Okay, so then he walked through some messages between Jane and Diddy from the days before the sobriety party. The jury had already seen these messages, but in these messages, Jane said in part she didn't want to be mistreated. I don't feel like performing loveless, cold sex. The jury saw messages indicating Jane went to Diddy's home the next day, and in a later conversation, KK, who was Diddy's chief of staff, messaged Brendan Paul, the assistant, and some other assistants to prepare a hotel for a freak off. So here she is over here. Already messages we already knew about and already saw. I don't want to do this performing loveless, cold, blah, 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 da, da, da. And here, like a few days later or around about that exact same time, we have KK like, go set up the hotel room. Don't mess anything up. The jury also saw messages between Diddy and an escort from the Cowboys for Angels service, coordinating a time to go to the hotel. So here he is on one hand getting told, I don't want to do this cold, loveless stuff. He's talking to here he is texting the escort. Hours later, Diddy sent an entertainer the hotel information. That would be Paul. That was the trifecta. Records showed $3,000 was deposited into an account of the entertainer. That's Paul Arthur shortly after. And this is the one that's the trainer and the freak off participant. In the days following the hotel reservation, Jane messaged Diddy asking if he could put something in her account, saying she felt violated and manipulated. Remember, Jane, one of the accusers, she testified under a pseudonym, testified the following about that October 2023 sobriety party. She said she wanted Diddy to get sober around this time. And he agreed to stop taking substances for 30 days, but he wanted to have one last sobriety party first. This party was a hotel night that lasted 12 to 18 hours. Jane testified. She didn't take any substances, but Diddy took cocaine. And that's when she had threw up. Remember that? Okay, so an hour ago, the court broke for lunch. Before the break, the detective reviewed text messages related to the June 18th, 2024 violent altercation. So this is June 18th, 2024. This is when there was a violent, like whenever there was the hitting and Jane and Diddy got into it in his house or whatever. So then that was before lunch, and then they're still, Teeny is now asking, or then they're moving on to the 2023 one. Okay, the judge is on the bench after the lunch break. Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent Joseph Curciello is back on the stand. The jury is also back. Defense attorney is beginning her cross-examination. It is very difficult to keep up, y'all, because they have so many exhibits and they're all like secret from even the people in the gallery. So it really makes it very difficult for me, to even piece together what's really going on. I'm updating our different sources. Up. Y'all. Oprah Winfrey and Bishop T.D. Jakes address rumors they attended Diddy's parties. Oprah Winfrey and the high-profile pastor, Bishop T.D. Jakes, have both publicly denied attending parties hosted by embattled rap mogul Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs. Oh my gosh. However, megachurch pastor T.D. Jakes did admit to briefly visiting Diddy's house to wish him happy birthday. Court is back in session. This is Sky News. Court is back in session for cross-examination of Special Agent. Jurors and the judge are back after the lunch break, and Special Agent Joseph Curciello has returned to the witness stand after spending the first part of the day giving direct testimony about messages sent to and from Diddy. He will now be cross-examined by defense lawyer Teeny Garagos, and now she's the one that's always like, that wasn't in your little chart, was it? You didn't put that in your chart. Why didn't you put that in your chart? And the person's like, I didn't make the chart. Teeny, my God. Okay, they're back. Oh, hold on. You know how Twitter does. Let's get the witness on the stand, the judge said. The jury came in. Okay, so here's Diddy's lawyer. First question. She says, Agent, special agent, this exhibit shows expenses paid for Sean Combs. This is an account from QuickBooks and an abundance of caution. Let's turn off the public screen. So they're showing an account from QuickBooks. We're getting right into it. Does it say Robin Marie Ann Combs? That's what I want to know. Okay. Garrigo says, let's look 7 lines down. JetBlue LA agency fee, other AR receipt, Sean Combs. Do you see that? AR receipt. Okay, that might give you a little bit of insight into how they're billing and how they're billing some of this stuff. AR, is that A&R? I don't know, girl. Maybe that means something else. AR receipt, Sean Combs. Let's look 7 lines down. The public screen is off, so we can only just read and imagine. JetBlue LA agency fee, other AR receipts, Sean Combs. Do you see that? Yes. Okay, let's look at line 9. JFK to LAX. This would be like New York to California. Account of Jessica Ruiz, CD Opco, right? Right. Okay. When you did the chart, you see how she tries to make it seem like the person on the stand made the chart? She already did this before. I expected it. I predicted it. When you did this chart, special agent, you only saw the American Express records, right? He said, I saw what was presented to me. I didn't do the chart. She says, okay, this is another chart that you reviewed. Let's go to page 15, row 39. You listed the lawsuit Ventura versus Combs and Diddy's Instagram video. Again, a chart you reviewed, and then it says you listed. She's trying to make it seem like he made the chart, like she's a dishonest little rat, in my opinion. It's what she's acting like. If you don't like it, stop being ratty. Okay. When you did the chart, it's like, why are you doing that? This is another chart that you reviewed. Okay. It's a chart he reviewed. You listed the lawsuit. Ventura versus Combs? No, stupid ass. No, he didn't. You started the question with you reviewed. I couldn't make my living being a dishonest lying rat like that. It just, I don't know. I consider it to be a lie to put it like that because you are trying to mislead somebody by doing that, in my opinion. That's what my consideration is. Okay. All right. So this is the point. All right. Teeny, I don't know. I didn't get it from her questioning, but thankfully CNN has somehow metastasized. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. This is what they're saying. Invoice, less than a minute ago, CNN.com. Invoice lists Combs, it's Diddy, not his businesses, for the New York City trip expenses. And I did say this earlier. If it had just said Diddy, if it had said just Diddy paid for it, that seems like, okay, personal expense out of his own money. But if it's Bad Boy and a CE OpCo, business, Bad Boy Enterprises, Combs Global or something paying for it, then yeah, that's going to be more like, that you're pulling your businesses in. But apparently Teeny, ratty as she is behaving, has seemingly pointed out that if you look at the actual QuickBooks software they using for his accounting, I guess, it says Diddy's name on the sheet. Now, did they change it? I don't know, girl. But it says Diddy's name on there. It does not say his businesses. Defense attorney Teeny Garagos went through a September 2023 invoice from Diddy's travel management company that listed expenses, including flights for Jane and the entertainer, Sly, for a trip to New York City. The invoice just simply says, okay, whoever was asking for how they accounted for this stuff, the invoice says various expenses for Sean Combs. Garagos highlighted that the invoice lists Diddy personally, not one of his business entities. Now, y'all, I will say this doesn't mean that this is an alibi or that, oh, got him. No. All it does is open a little bit of doubt, but Just because the QuickBooks software lists something as one thing somewhere, one place, doesn't mean it's a dispositive that it was only a personal expense. Like, I don't know what this QuickBooks thing is. We haven't seen it. They don't have it publicly viewable. There's just too much that we don't know to be able to say, oh, got him. However, it does help that there's somewhere where it does say various expenses for Sean Combs, but it depends who's ultimately paying for this. I don't know. The QuickBooks ain't helping me out without knowing more. Okay. Do you see this month-to-month lease in Jane's true name? Have you ever seen this exhibit? I have not. So there's a month-to-month lease in Jane's name. I guess they didn't show that exhibit to this particular special agent, but I don't know that this particular special agent saw a lot of the evidence in this case. I don't think that that was their job. They were just supposed to look at the list and then fact check it. Okay, turn the public screens back on. Here we saw Mr. Combs saying, damn, wish you were here, right? Special agent says, yes. Okay. I'm just looking for updates. We already saw this one. Waiting for some updates. I mean, we knew it was going to be a little bit of a slow day, but I think the days are going to start to become a little bit less predictable and a little bit less every day is the same, if you know what I mean. Because we're like pulling up to the end here. I mean, the whole thing could be over by tomorrow, meaning like the arguments, excuse me, the questioning. And then day after that, yeah, Tuesday, they could rest their case tomorrow afternoon, they said this morning. Meaning Diddy's side. Oh, interesting. Okay. So Inner City Press says, programming note, because the public screens of these exhibits have been turned off nearly all day, the seeming fast oral reference to Swipe Diddler may have been too good to be true. Earlier in the case, we referred to Cabral as Sly, aka Sly Diggler. Okay, so maybe they didn't say anything about Diddler. His name's Sly Diggler. Maybe that's his last name they were saying. We have an update from CNN. Less than a minute ago. Okay, so here's another argument. And I got to credit Teeny Garagos for this argument. Less than a minute ago, CNN.com. Many incidents in the chart happened before Diddy paid Jane's rent, special agent says. Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent Joseph Curciello confirmed that many of the incidents listed in the summary chart occurred before April 2023. And that's when Diddy began paying Jane's rent. So they are trying to take the wind out of the sails of the argument that Jane was coerced because of her rent. Teeny's like, okay, if she was coerced because her rent was getting paid, that explains maybe a couple things after the rent. But what about all this stuff from before? Before Diddy was ever paying her rent. So that's not coercion. That's gotta, pin it up on something else, not the rent, because he wasn't paying her rent. But the special agent also confirmed that there could have been times that Jane and Diddy saw each other that were not included in the summary chart. So maybe they saw each other timed. Yeah. Okay. So they have these like 40 incidents or whatever, 45, however many it is. But remember, they told us at the beginning, they were like, we didn't put incidents in here that we didn't have all of the bunch of different types of proof for. So they've already admitted to that. But Teeny Garagos is like, isn't it true they could have hung out different times that are not on this chart? And the special agent is like, yeah, they could have. Okay. Okay, Garagos says, okay, and here, Jane writes, I'm aroused for you and put it blank in blank. These next two pages are not in your chart, are they? So all the sexts. So they left the sexts out of the chart. Okay. No, he says, no, I don't think so. And then Jane writes, having wine, miss you. That's not included in the chart, right? The special agent said, no, it is not. Let's see. Just got a pacer. Nothing new. Tasha Christie, I'm not sure. No clue. I have only heard her referred to as the account manager, the accountant. I think they referred to him as, I think the feds have referred to Robin Greenhill before, I believe, as Diddy's accountant. But I don't know if that means the personal accountant, business accountant. If I had to guess, it's both. But other stuff, account manager, account person, point person or whatever, the person, the point of contact for TriStar, who was referred to as the business managers. But then they said all kind of stuff TriStar did, like helping onboard employees and helping manage the homes. So it's really, I don't know. I don't really exactly know. I couldn't really tell you. Okay. And then Teeny Garrigo says, Jane writes, I have some here, but mostly black, fill in the blank, Atrix style, right? Special agent's like, yeah. All right, I'm going to bring up Defense Exhibit number 3328 under seal, page 17. Messages between Jane and Sly, aka Cabral. Jane writes, I might have some time off. And everything is all sealed up from the public. The screens are off. Everybody's got all the secrets. Don't let the public see, even though you're in the public court. So stupid. Peaches said, accountant here. There are accountants that manage high net wealth individuals, personal and business. Robin is in that category, I'm guessing. That's what I was thinking too, Peaches. Thank you for that um information. Les Mitt said she is just reading evidence into the record to highlight it to the jury. No debunking of anything the prosecution has put forward. True. True. Yeah, yeah. I mean, what is with the QuickBooks? Like, why are they? I don't know what. We need more information. It's all off. It doesn't even honestly probably make any sense to even speculate that because we just don't have like any information. It's just something in QuickBooks. Justin Combs had enough. He was bored too. Look at him leaving. Seen Monday leaving the courthouse where his father is on trial. This guy must have been told to stop wearing the free puff shirts. And look, they don't cut. They snipped the hat off too. He had that free puff hat. He used to have the free puff shirt. Justin Combs was seen Monday leaving the Manhattan courthouse where his father is on trial. His mother is stylist Misa Hilton. Well, I don't know about that outfit. I mean, it's better than what most of them are wearing. He looks fine. He looks cute. I like the pants for sure. And the pants with the shoes, I get it. I just don't know why they all want to try to be like, if you're going to do Frank Lucas, like, why are you wearing a baseball cap? I get where you're trying to go, but no, don't do that. Or do it. Y'all don't work for me. Okay. So the most recent tweet that we read was, I'm going to bring up Defense Exhibit DX3328 under seal, page 17, messages between Jane and Cabral. Jane writes, I might have some time off. Jane says, hey, cutie, how are you? And then Cabral Sly writes back, just back from cooking for a brunch. I'm one of a kind, baby. And she writes back, LOL, these pics. Okay, if I fly you out, I'm so aroused. I need you. I'm blank my blank right now, right? Didn't she say that? Yes. Okay, so she initiates with Cabral/Sly, which was already put into the record of her communicating with him. One thing I will say with Justin's outfit, I'm really glad, and I will say hats off to, no pun intended, is this at least it's not black and white. They like all are wearing like uniform. They're like in the uniform colors, it's all black and white. And Janice is the only one who sometimes gets a little wild and crazy with her colors, thank God. But like at least okay, now it's a navy blue moment. Okay. Okay. The messages you reviewed omitted emojis, right? The agent said, I don't know. I have no idea about emoji. Okay. Jane writes, see you soon with kiss face emoji, then heart eye emoji. And Cabral writes, me too, also with emojis, right? Yes. What is this? The Blake Lively Justin Baldoni dispute where the emojis were left off and put in. And remember that was like a whole thing. Like it's misleading because the emojis. Okay, that's the most recent one. Let me see if there's any other sources. Oh, I was reading comments. I got distracted. New York Post. Oh, the most recent thing they said was 3 hours ago, and it was just Okay, look how funny they wrote this. Diddy won't testify in his own defense as attorneys make a shocking decision not to call a single witness. This is from 3 hours ago, but it's New York Post. We haven't been reading from them today. Oh wait. Diddy isn't planning to call a single witness in his defense at his bombshell ST trial. His lead lawyer said today, before the jury entered the room Monday morning, Mark Agnifilo told the court that Diddy's legal team will instead introduce an array of trial evidence, which prosecutors have signed off on, into the record. The apparent decision to forego calling witnesses is an about face from Diddy's purported plan, as last week he was going to call at least 3 witnesses, at least 2 Combs Enterprises employees and a psych expert. So I don't know if he really was never planning on calling these people or if they just changed it up at the last second, but um girl, in the temperature climate controlled cigar box too, please. Is this goop? Isn't that Gwyneth Paltrow's thing? Or am I making that up? Yeah, that's what I thought. Caramel Peach said, "Yay, yay, doesn't take a chance for that 15 minutes of fame on the witness stand." Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's what they say in Christy Riley. So Diddy's not putting up any witnesses at all. That's what they reporting over there at the New York Post. Okay. 1 minute ago, NBCnews.com, Jane said in a 2021 text that she wanted to see her favorite person. In a November 2021 text, Diddy's then girlfriend, identified in court as Jane, told Diddy that she couldn't wait to hook up with her favorite person. Diddy then asked Jane for specifics, be explicit, of what she wanted to do with him, and she responded in graphic sexual detail. The defense hopes to show, that's Diddy's side, hopes to show that Diddy's girlfriends were willing partners and not T. King victims. Okay. That's what they want to show. I don't know how that's going to be shown when you have that video of Diddy caravanning down the hall. Charging, galloping, some might even say, down the hall. Oh, wait. We got some tweets. It's coming through. Okay, hold on. Okay, now turn off the attorney's screens too. Do you see the metadata? Yeah. Test the headphones. Make sure they work. Here's some piano music. Now, play the video. Video played with all screens turned off, including the attorney's screens. So I guess that's a freak off video. One new update from Washington Post 2 minutes ago, Shayna Jacobs. The defense, Tina Garagos, is asking the witness about a number of raunchy text exchanges between accuser Jane, an influencer and model who testified in the trial under a pseudonym, and Diddy. So it's Jane and Diddy texting each other, and these texts are, quote, raunchy. It is meant to further their argument that the alleged victims were willing participants and freak-offs with the ability to refuse taking part in them. Okay, we're still waiting for updates from Inner City Press. Well, the last thing we heard from that Inner City Press tweet thread is, the make sure it works. Here's some piano music. And then, okay, that it works. Okay, press play. And it was a freak off video. So, hell, I'm sure I'll have to watch that. Okay, let's see. Maybe I can find another source. Let's see. No, I guess they're not doing it today. Let's see who else used to do it. Is it Mirror? No, I guess they're not doing it. I guess we can check in on DeMore's case and see if they decided anything there. Hold on a second, y'all. I'm checking something on the back. Okay. All right. True, this is another good point. We also learned that they were required to send him SUL explicit messages all day. I remember that being testified on the stand. That's true, it was. I don't see. Wait. I don't see. Lorelai said, I don't see how Garagos thinks this line of questioning helps the case. Just makes her look. I don't see how either, but maybe they're seeing something we don't see. Becky said, yeah, no, Diddy's ego won't let him not take the stand. I feel like he's like probably wanting to, right? Maybe he's not. I don't know. I just feel like he would want to. That's not me saying I feel like he is going to, although I am still feeling like it is possible. Oh, wow. I am not in any way caught up with all that going on, so I'm going to, for now, have to refrain from making any comments, but oh, that looks, yeah, pray for the people, across the world. All right, so, that's Washington Post. We have NBC News. Favorite person, we already caught up there. CNN. We're caught up there. The Independent. We're caught up there. Okay. We have a new update from Sky News just now. Diddy told Jane to be explicit in texts about escort, court hears. During cross-examination of the special agent, the court hears about more text messages between Diddy and former girlfriend Jane, who testified against him earlier in the trial under a pseudonym. Diddy and Jane dated off and on from early 2021 up until his arrest in September last year. In November 2021, Jane told Diddy she couldn't wait to hook up with her favorite person. Diddy asked her if she wanted to see him in an escort and told her to tell him what she wanted to do and, quote, be explicit. I remember him saying it. I remember having to get the accent and everything. She responded in graphic as she will detail. The defense argues that Jane and Cassie um, consented to these encounters. They were not the victims of anything, much less ST. That's the argument anyway that they're trying. Diddy's team. Team Diddy. All of the muted. So, I mean, I know I'm tired of the super secret stuff. I know I'm ready for like a trial that's going to be out in the open. Should I check on Keefe D? I think that's a state case though. Let me go see Clark County. See what's going on with his case. I do have his stuff. Hold on, let me pull that up. Would it be in Diddy? Yeah. Okay. Tupac police report. AG Entertainment. Okay, here's the indictment. Clark County District Court. Okay, so let me see. Dwayne Keith Davis. I think it's in Clark County. Clark County. Davis. Dwayne. Oh no. All these are closed cases, so maybe this ain't it. I'm just trying to get it, like pull up something for us to do while we're just waiting in the middle of these long, super secret district court. Okay, we got an update on CNN, so we have an update. Defense shows jury actually explicit video after highlighting certain texts. With Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent Joseph Carciello under cross-examination, defense attorney Teeny Garagos has addressed a certain time frame, November 8th through 10th, 2021, that the special agent had touched on in earlier testimony under examination by the prosecution earlier. Now, Teeny, Diddy's lawyer, pointed to some messages Jane sent during this time frame that were not included in your little chart. After Diddy texted Jane asking if she wanted to see him, and an entertainer named Paul, who's also Diddy's trainer, Jane said she was so aroused according to one of the messages, highlighted by Teeny Garagos. Now, Diddy asked her what she wanted to do and said, "Be explicit." Jane then texted him descriptions of sexual interactions she wanted to have with Paul and Diddy. That's the trifecta. That's the Kobe and Michael Jordan and what was the other one? Shaq. In other texts, Jane sent explicit messages to the entertainer called Sly and told him she wanted to see him. Teeny Garagos had the jury then watch a freak-off video from November 10th, 2021. Now, earlier today, the government also showed the jury a clip from an sexually explicit video from the same day. Okay, so Teeny is showing another portion of that same video that they already saw earlier. So it's like, a different thing. Defense, yeah, shows other side. This is the Independent 3 minutes ago. Defense shows other side of Jane's text messages. Defense attorney Teeny Garagos is having special agent Cerciello review text messages that the prosecution did not include in its little chart, where Jane shows a desire to be with Diddy. In one text message from 2021, Jane told Diddy she couldn't wait to hook up with him, calling him her favorite person. In other messages, she told Diddy she missed him and used explicit language to express her desire to be with him. Yeah, but y'all don't forget, be explicit. Don't forget that one. Girl, please. Okay, let's go back to Inner City Press. Okay, keep the public screen off. Please pull up Defense Exhibit 3328. Jane messages Sly/Cabral. What does he respond? He texts, I'm just chilling in Houston, waiting for my flight. Jane writes back, want to come to Miami? I have a small free window. Emoji. Inner City Press 4 minutes ago said the jurors are being shown the video. Oh, excuse me, video after video. The public will not know what the videos show. We will not even see it described or summarized in words. CNN.com. Okay. It says a minute ago, but I think they just updated this. Garagos had the jury watch a video clip from November 10, 2021. Earlier today, the government also showed the jury a clip from a video that same day. So I don't know if it was the same freak off or the same what. I don't know. Is court over at 3 or 4 today? I don't know. I'm assuming they're gonna go till at least 4 because they're probably just ready to get this witness done because after this is it. The case will be rested. So I imagine that the judge would be incentivized to let it go a little longer rather than cut it short. Yeah, this is actually thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about this. This is a great question, seriously. I did get some of the lawsuits against, me thrown out, namely the ones in California. Those are the ones that were considered to be SLAPP lawsuits, which are illegal, unconstitutional, and so she owes me money. However, it's not even all the money. Like, I'm well over probably 200, I don't even wanna think about it, but, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal bills on that case, but the way that it for whatever reason, and I don't think it should be like this, but they don't, like, actually really award you 100% fully all of your attorney's fees. They just, like, decide on this number, you have to, like, argue about it. So that's number 1. Number 2, she did this ambush litigation where she was doing it all over the country, also coordinating with other people, including her sister, who also owes me money, and Brian Scott Kuchar. They were being witnesses for each other at each other's trial and all of this nonsense. I'm having to pay for those as well. Okay, so those, yes, did they get thrown out? Yes. But they also, the one in Georgia got thrown out on jurisdictional grounds. So that one I didn't even get to the point where I was going to argue anti-SLAPP. So I was on the hook for that money. The one by the sister, she does owe me money, but nowhere near the amount that it actually cost to do it. And that judge, I think, needs to be thrown off the bench, but that's neither here nor there. And none of that even starts to talk about the federal litigation that's also been tossed out twice in New Jersey and is pending right now a decision on yet a third decision for hopefully the final time the judge will get rid of the lawsuit. So, yeah, I really hate to be the bearer of horrible news and I hated to learn it the hard way, but just because you get your attorney's fees awarded in one case, one place doesn't mean that they can't still attempt to basically bankrupt you out of the face of the earth. Okay, with their bullshit, fraudulent and phony, full of lies litigation. Legal Fund, linked in the description box down below. Legal Fund linked below. Okay, let's go back to Inner City Press. Nothing was there. Going to Washington Post. Nothing there. Let's try NBC. Nope, nothing new here either. And now we're on CNN. This is just keeps saying like 1 minute ago, and then they keep just adding like a little one sentence. The jury watched several other clips of sexually explicit videos from November and December 2021, totaling more than 5 minutes. Okay, so we had already read this from CNN where they're like, Garagos had the jury watch sexually explicit video clip from November 10th, 2021. Earlier today, the government also showed the jury a clip from that from a sexually explicit video from the same day, and the jury watched several other clips. So this is the new part right here. The jury watched several other clips of sexually explicit videos from November and December 2021, totaling more than 5 minutes. So I guess they're still just in there watching that. Shout out to Daniela Saldivia becoming a member. Thank you so much. New life plan for the $5 super chat. How are you feeling X amount into this case? What do you mean? X amount of time into this coverage. What? Thank you for the $2. Thank you for the $5. How am I feeling? I mean, I think they proved their case. But it's so hard to know because, we don't know what the jury has seen. They don't know what we have seen. I've seen things they haven't seen. I haven't been in there to see, it's just, there's so much stuff that I just don't know. So I'm just kind of feeling restless, I think. I guess that's the best that I could do to describe it at this moment. Crystal said, late to the party here, but I used to work for QuickBooks, and that information can be updated and changed after the fact. Where's the audit trail for the original transaction? That's, yeah, can we get the audit trail? Can we get the audit trail? I wanted to make an Oregon Trail joke, but I just couldn't bring myself to do so. Allegedly, there's a new update on NBC. More explicit videos shown to jurors. The defense showed jurors explicit footage of Jane having relations in November 2021. The video was only shown to the jurors, the judge, and the lawyers as it was shielded from the public. It wasn't immediately clear what was in the footage, but the defense likely hopes to show Jane as a willing participant. Okay, so Teeny Garagos goes, Jane writes, "Oh, Sly, thank you for making me feel so beautiful." And then he writes back, "You called me by my government name." I said, "Whoa, things are getting personal now." Jane writes, "I'm traveling. Maybe you can come too. PCR test needed." So he had to take a COVID test. Okay, so he's just chilling in Houston, waiting for his flight. Jane says, "Do you want to come to Miami? I have a small window of time. Thank you for making me feel so beautiful." He said, "You called me by my government name." I said, "Whoa, things are getting personal now." She said, "I'm traveling. Maybe you can come too. PCR test needed." To go to Florida, I guess, to fly into Miami. I thought they weren't doing all that over there. Thanks so much to Facing Truth for the $5 super chat. I can't wait for Diddy to be found guilty and the rest of the demons to fall right behind him. Thank you so much for that. A $5 super chat. Well, it's going to happen quick. It's going to happen quick. The jury, T-Bone said, the jury is going to, that jury going to need some therapy. I know. Somebody else said, those poor jurors. Peaches said, will this case be retried if somehow they land at a hung jury? Or is this not that kind of trial? I don't know. I have no idea. Hard-hitting documentaries said, who's next? My guess is Jay-Z. Well, Jay-Z has not been accused in, as nearly as many things as Diddy. And then the stuff that people were accusing him of, it looks like most of it's been settled. Now, there is that whole Rymir Satterthwaite story, but, I hesitate to say that I think Jay-Z necessarily is next. I would be more likely to think, Rock Nation as an entity could possibly be in being under investigation or might be investigated soon, but maybe not. Everybody's innocent till proven guilty, and far be it for me to, say something I don't know for sure. Who knows? Who does know? Not me. Russell Brand trial coming up next year. He said Diddy took him on an enforced holiday, but he's made a lot of odd comments about their friendship. Wait, is his trial in the UK? Sarah said KK is likely next up to bat, possibly in conjunction with TriStar. I feel it in my bones. That's interesting. And you're not the only one. Look, Camille said, my guess is KK and TriStar will be next. DDGV said, no, it's going to be Kanye. Thank you, boy, Mom X3 for the $4.99 super chat. So if / Win found guilty, Where will he go? What jail, prison can he appeal to go back to trial? If he can go, he can appeal. And I believe he would remain in the MDC, but y'all, I don't know. Somebody with more knowledge would have to say. Thank you for that $4.99. The dominoes are falling. Yep. Somebody saying Trey Songs, yay, Fat Joe and Kanye got the lawsuits going on. How soon do I think the co-conspirators may be arrested after Diddy? Who knows if they're even ever going to get arrested even, Facing Truth. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I'm surprised, if they have all this stuff on people and they might be likely to, flee the country or something, why don't they have them under arrest already? I don't know how it works. I know you do have the right to a speedy trial, but there's also like statutes of limitations on things. Like, how are they going to try people once the statutes run out? I don't really know enough about how it works, I think. But thank you for that $5 super chat. Trishy said, if I was a juror, I would sue the state for making me watch that. I mean, I hear you, but like, then what if there's videos of like horrible crimes, like on other stuff? We got to need, with some jurors needs to watch videos from time to time to know, stuff that happened so that people can face consequences and, be convicted or whatever. She said they all that fled the country. So they wouldn't be tried. Oh yeah, Smokey Robinson. That's a civil suit though, right? Not criminal. Okay. We have a new tweet or two. Oh my God, y'all. Is it over? Oh, okay. It's only over because it's 3. So the judge did end at 3 today. It's 3:06. Okay, so Jane writes, wait, you have a passport, right? Oh, then don't worry about the PCR test. What? So if you have a passport, you don't need to take the PCR test? Your Honor, I think this is a good place to stop. It's 3 p.m., Teeny Garagos said. Okay. Jurors, you may go. The jurors leave. Teeny said, I have 1 hour, 15 minutes left or more. Judge says, okay. Judge says, so tomorrow, finish the cross examination. Then we'll give the jurors a long break for the Rule 29 motion. If it's denied, the defense should be ready to put on its case tomorrow. Then closings, 4 hours each with jury charge in the middle of the day Friday. Okay, y'all, we get the trial schedule. Breaking news. Diddy trial schedule. Wind down schedule here. Should give the jury instructions by midday Friday. But then what, they going to go think about all this all weekend and then come back and be like, not guilty? This is not, I don't know. I need like an expert on juries and things like that. Tomorrow. Okay. So she says she has another hour, 15 minutes. Okay. So tomorrow she said, or more. So maybe an hour, 15, maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I don't know. Could be more. The judge is like, all right, so tomorrow we'll come on time. We'll give we'll let you do the cross-examination. Then we'll give the jurors a long break for the Rule 29 motion. Let me look up what is the Rule 29 motion. Rule 29 motion. Okay, judgment of acquittal. Okay, interesting. All right. So Diddy's team is going to move for acquittal by the judge on the judgment without the jury getting involved first. A Rule 29 motion based on Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure is a motion for a judgment of acquittal In a federal criminal trial, it is essentially a request for the judge to dismiss the case because the prosecution's evidence is insufficient to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. This motion can be made by the defendant at the close of the prosecution's evidence, at the close of all evidence, or even after a jury verdict. So the judge is letting them do that, which I think he has to. They're going to do a motion where they're going to see if the judge can rule on that. And then he says, okay, so let's just move forward as if I'm going to deny it. If I deny it, then the defense, y'all need to be ready to put on your case tomorrow. Okay. So I might go back in the back room and say, all right, jury, go to the back. I'm going to hear this argument from Diddy's team. We're going to hear the argument. No, denied. Okay, let's put on your case. Jury, come back out from the lunchroom. It might be like that. So y'all need to be ready tomorrow to put your case on. Now, how long is the closing going to last? 4 hours for each. And then the jury charge in the middle of Friday? Why the jury charge the middle of Friday if it's going to be case is done by tomorrow, Tuesday, case is done. Wednesday, they're having their little whatever conference. Thursday, 4 hours each. So the defense is going to be able to have, I think they should have to finish all of their closing argument in one day. I don't think they should be able to come back and do different new closing argument. Okay, we have more. We have 2 updates from NBC. Jane asked for freak off texts show December 2021. This is about a year after she met Diddy. Jane reached out to an S worker named Cabral and appeared to initiate a freak off, according to text message chain. Before Jane asked the S worker to take a PCR test, harkening back to an era when America was still fighting to control the pandemic, jury dismissed for the day. They're set to convene tomorrow at 9 a.m. What the hell? Rule 29 motion for acquittal. After the government closes its evidence or after the close of all evidence, the court on the defendant's motion must enter a judgment of acquittal of any offense for which the evidence is insufficient to sustain a conviction. Okay, well, I'm waiting for those last few. I need to get this CNN thing back up. Okay, there we go. Okay, so Diddy's lawyer says, we're trying to agree on the jury instruction, Your Honor, but the judge says, let's say in the RICO conspiracy section, you have different positions. He says, okay, I don't want to break up the closings. So we are going to stay late on Thursday. See you tomorrow. Remember I told y'all, like, no, we're going to have to stay late. It's going to have to just be a long day on Thursday because the judge doesn't want to give basically 2 days of closings. So he's like, we're going to stay late and y'all need to finish your closing arguments all on Thursday. And we're going to give jury instructions on Friday. And the judge said, see you tomorrow. Wow. Court adjourned, everybody. Wow. Should we go check Pacer? Because the feds are supposed to put every evidence up today. The judge ordered them. Did I go too far? Wait. Yeah, maybe it's 3. And it's already 3. Yeah, it's like already 3:14, and like they supposed to put all this evidence up. Where is it? Why it's not on the docket? Someone needs to tell me. Thanks so much to Elise for the $1.99 super chat. Even thanks so much for that $10 super chat. New life plan. Even more sad on your suits is you could pursue her in civil on the lawyer's fees distress. But if you win, no policy covers those things. I don't even know what the policy, what you're talking about, but thank you for that $10 super chat. The craziest thing about it all, y'all, is all I was doing was telling y'all the cause of death and the drugs in her system because Lima didn't tell you the actual cause of death from the coroner's, the autopsy report. I'm going to read what we got. And she didn't. I mean, it was egregious. All I freaking did was tell y'all that. They didn't tell you the true reason. Oh my God. It's like $1 million in legal bills just to freaking do that. It's like almost as if I like accidentally stumbled upon a clandestine operation or something. Anyway, just now, Washington Post updated the Shana Jacobs said court has ended for the day, but the defense cross-examination will continue of this special agent. Tina Garrigo said she has another hour and 15 minutes left in her cross-examination. So that'll be done tomorrow. And then they're going to get rid of the jury to go take a break, but we should still be able to hear the arguments for this acquittal. So we'll get some acquittal arguments tomorrow. And we'll probably also start to get the evidence read into the record. I doubt that the judge is going to acquit Diddy on any of these charges. No, go back. Jury sees messages of Jane, this is CNN, inviting entertainer to join her and Diddy. The jury saw messages between Jane and the entertainer known as Sly regarding 2 separate encounters in December 2021 when Jane asked Sly to join her and Diddy. After one encounter, she wrote to Sly, "So happy. You are such a sweetheart. Thank you for making me feel beautiful." In another message, she wrote, "Getting flashbacks," followed by a drooling emoji. 1 minute ago, defense plans to rest without calling any witnesses. Diddy's defense team said it will rest its case without calling any witnesses, but it will submit some evidence. Attorney Mark Agnifilo said before jurors entered court this afternoon. It appears that instead of witnesses, the defense will just stipulate several issues. The special agent, Carciello, will continue on the stand tomorrow before the prosecution rests its case. And then a charging conference will happen on Wednesday. And then the closing arguments are going to be Thursday. The jury will get its instructions on Friday and it will start its deliberation. Now I'm going to look up what is a charging conference. I'm going to go federal criminal. Charge conference. Okay, here it is. Let me show y'all what the AI said. I said charging conference because that's, where were we here? Here, charging conference on Wednesday. So I just looked that up, charging conference, federal criminal. In federal criminal cases, a charging conference typically refers to a meeting between the judge and attorneys, either before or after their closing arguments. And this is to talk about jury instructions. So it's a little mini trial to talk about what you're going to tell the jury. This conference ensures that the judge's instructions to the jury are accurate and properly convey the relevant law to the jury before they begin deliberating. Here's a breakdown of the key aspects. The purpose of a charge conference is to finalize the jury instructions. These are the directions the judge gives to the jury on how to apply the law to the facts of the case. These instructions are crucial for guiding the jury's decision-making process. There's also the timing issue. In many jurisdictions, the charge conference occurs before closing arguments, allowing attorneys to tailor their closing statements and closing arguments to the anticipated jury instructions. In some cases, it may be held after the closing. So in this case, it's going to be before the closing arguments. The judge and attorneys will discuss the proposed jury instructions, and the judge may rule on objections or propose modifications to the instructions. Attorneys are expected to make specific objections to the instructions. Okay, that's nice. There's a new update on NBC. Closing arguments are going to take about 4 hours each. Tina Garagos said it's expected that each side, the prosecution and the defense, will take about 4 hours to make their closing arguments to jurors. Those final words could be spoken on Thursday, with jurors getting their first chance to deliberate on Friday. Y'all, imagine they get it done so fast. Imagine they get it done fast because it's a Friday and they're like, I don't feel like coming back. Let's just find him guilty. Or not guilty. Whatever seems, easiest for them. Okay, the parties expect that their closing arguments will happen Thursday, and there will be about 4 hours for each side. The jury is probably not going to get the case. The jury will probably not get the case until Friday, when they could begin deliberations after getting charge instructions from the judge. Oh, no pressure. No freaking pressure. Thank you so much, Mama Hens Catholic, teaching for the 199 super chat. You need to put a lien on her property for the 100K. Girl. Thanks so much for that super chat. Thank you, Elise, for the 499. Have I heard the Justice for Brittany group will be outside the courthouse of Diddy? No, I have not. However, I need to look into who that's going to be before I endorse anything, because sometimes people be calling themselves justice for somebody something and they not. Okay. And if they are, shout out to them. I just haven't heard about it, but I can't endorse any of that. But thank you so much for the 499, and I will look into that. I'll try to see what that's all about. But y'all, we've been burned. There's been a lot of people. There's been the Free Britney America. They showed up to places, and girl, and then all of a sudden ice buckets were getting thrown at people. All kinds of crazy stuff was happening. So I'm just, shout out to Free Britney, shout out to Justice for Britney. If that's the people I know, then yeah, that's shout out to them. But I don't know if it's who that is. I haven't heard about it. I can't believe defense didn't even call their expert. This is interesting to me as well, Jen. I can't believe they didn't call their expert too. Sasha Barty. I was waiting for him. No, I don't think so either, Camille. Camille said, I doubt all jury members would be on board with just wrapping it up to get it done. There will be at least a few that will want to be thorough. Truly. I totally agree. I totally agree with that. I do think that a lot of times jurors, even people that you maybe wouldn't expect, do take their jury duty very seriously. And it's like, it's something that they take seriously and they're serious about it, and they wouldn't just want to rush it. So we do have another update from the independent court adjourned for the day. The court has been adjourned for the day, and the cross-examination of the special agent is expected to continue tomorrow. Tina Garagos said she has another hour and some left of her cross-examination, and closing arguments are likely to begin on Thursday. 5 minutes ago, jury dismissed for the day. But before the court finished for the day, jurors heard that in December 2021, Jane was in contact with an S worker and appeared to initiate a freak-off session. She asked him to take a PCR test, a reminder of the tests we all had to take during that certain time. And, it'll always be great, she told him. The court will be back in session at 2 p.m. tomorrow, UK time. Shout out to the UK. We'll be back here shortly with a roundup of today's evidence. Jurors unlikely to start, this is New York Post, jurors unlikely to start deliberating until Friday afternoon. Due to marathon closing arguments, the jury is unlikely to start deliberating until Friday at the earliest. Tina Garagos told the judge. Garagos said the defense and the prosecution are each going to take a minimum of 4 hours to deliver their closing arguments to the jury. The closing arguments are set to begin on Thursday. Y'all, this is wild. Can't believe we've almost made it to the end here. Exactly, Tracy. I agree. I'm surprised we're already near deliberations, quick trial. It was actually so long. I think it was, like, actually longer than most trials are just a few weeks, but it was just I think we were all I was certainly expecting Diddy to put on some lengthy, like, defense of at least a few days. I didn't expect it to be like, "Okay, government's done. Okay, we're all done." Tony, shout out to Tony. He said, "I think they know he's going to prison. Now they just fighting to see how long." I don't know what they could know, y'all. Rain said, "What is my final prediction on the charges and what the jury decides?" No clue. No clue. I don't know because I haven't seen what they've seen. I haven't if y'all don't know, I'm wearing my Eagles jersey. It's like a throwback. Anyway, I was expecting a defense from him. I haven't seen what they've seen. A lot of stuff we know has been kept out from them, so I don't even know. I think the prosecution thank you, Allie, for the $5 super chat. I'll just ask the internet. I think the prosecution does go first. Prosecution go first or last in closing arguments? I think it's them. I think they go first. Yeah, it's them. So in a federal criminal trial, the prosecution goes first in closing arguments and then the defense, and then the prosecution can do a rebuttal. This order is dictated by the federal rules of criminal procedure. So I don't know if they'll do a rebuttal. But after they do a rebuttal, I don't know so I guess technically if they do the option of rebuttal, then the prosecution would go first and last. Prosecution, having the burden of proof, presents their closing argument first because they have the burden. See, remember, y'all never forget, the government, the feds have to prove Diddy did this. He does not have to prove he's innocent. They have the burden. They present their closing argument first. They summarize the evidence presented in they summarize the evidence presented and they argue for defendant's guilt. Then the defendant makes their argument. That's going to be, I don't know who's going to make the closing arguments, but they present their closing argument responding to the prosecution's points and presenting their own narrative. Finally, the prosecution is given the chance to rebut the defense's arguments, clarifying any misunderstandings and emphasizing key evidence. This is a critical opportunity for the prosecution to reinforce their case. This structure ensures the party with the burden of proof gets the last word in the closing arguments. 2 minutes ago, New York Post, last witness to wrap up testimony tomorrow morning, a Diddy trial. The last witness is expected to testify at the trial against Diddy. He's off the witness stand for the day, but he is slated to return Tuesday morning to wrap up. Special Agent Joseph Curciello spent all of Monday testifying about charts of evidence against the Bad Boy Records founder, including video footage of his former gal pal, Jane, engaging in hotel nights, aka freak-offs. Curciello is the last witness that will be called by prosecutors, and earlier today, Diddy's lawyers revealed that they don't plan to call any witnesses. Isn't that interesting? Thanks so much, Nat, for the £2 super chat. Check out Elijah Blue latest. Will do. Love you, Mina. Thank you so much for that. Yes, go Birds. Eagles, Eagles. Don't ask too many people to spell that on the spot, though. Apparently, people can't spell that. Okay. I think I'm gonna head out. Hold on. Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm not hearing good news about this alleged so-called protest, by the way, on the back end. I'm gonna have to do some research on it. Okay, that's all I really had for this one. I got y'all going over to Andy Popcorn Planet. I'll see you tomorrow for one of our last few bright and early, same back time, same back place together. Yeah, we'll be here tomorrow for the wrap up of that, and then there's gonna be arguments for acquittal tomorrow, and probably Diddy's evidence is going to get read in. So that's what will probably be going on tomorrow. It'll be a big day, busy day. And I'll be here for the whole thing. See you elsewhere in the world. And that's all I really had for this one. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Neither are opinions. Neither is reading public stuff, y'all. Love you, Mina. Okay, bye.